I didn't publicly say this to anybody. I kept it on the down low as I was advised by my team and my bandmates, but I deconstructed my faith in like a real way where I didn't believe in anything anymore. I remember certain shows and we kind of had this shtick, right, where I'd say the same thing every night about what God was doing for our fans and the people in the audience. It sold well. It sold t-shirts, and I just kind of got used to saying the same thing over and over and over again. And when you do that for 12 years every night to different cities and different people, it catches up with you really quick, especially if you don't really know what you're saying. I was a kid that grew up in a Christian family my whole life. I knew who Jesus was. I went to church. I went to Sunday school. And my parents were like those like weird Christians. We were the weird Christian family. I watched The Simpsons for the first time in my life like 5 years ago. Like we were that family. So you know what I'm saying. But when you have the theology backing of a 7-year-old and you're put on a stage in front of tens of thousands of people every night and you're saying these things and these people come up to you, people with real problems approach you after shows saying, I don't feel Jesus in my life in this area or that area. What do you do? And you just kind of get cornered as you back yourself into a wall and you're like, how badly I'd like to say, I don't know. But you can't say that when you're put on a pedestal by people watching. And I'm just like, just pray about it, give it to the Lord. I'm like, oh, thank you so much. And then you get really good at reciting that over and over again. And I did that so often where one morning I looked up and I didn't even know who I was anymore. So these questions that surfaced, I brought to my band and they were trying to help me and like, dude, please do not tweet any of this or say anything because this is kind of, we've built a career off of this. And I was like, yeah, I know. I don't like it. It's weird. We're doing this for the wrong reasons. At least I felt that internally. And it basically made me deconstruct my entire faith where I didn't know what I believed anymore. So in 2011, I told the guys, I'm like, I'm out. The industry was trying to get us to become the new Hawk Nelson. And I was like, I didn't want anything to do with it. I'm like, I'm sorry, we're a rock band. I'm a punk rock guy. I like Green Day. I don't want to be the Christian Good Charlotte. I want to be the band that goes on tour with Good Charlotte. And so I just tapped out, and I just think I'm the kind of guy that I avoid all confrontation. I avoid everything. It just got to the point where it just burst, and I just snapped and lost it on everybody, and I just rage quit. And I left my last show here with my band Lights Go Down, which was a sad era in my life. It was a really sad season, but I grew from it. I left this festival here and I drove all the way back to Canada. It was for my sister's wedding, but I knew I was going back there to try to figure my life out because at this point I was an alcoholic. I could not stop drinking. Like I couldn't go a day without drinking anything. Which I wouldn't advise that to anybody. But I got to my parents' house and my mom saw me and she knew, moms for whatever reason know this thing that I wasn't there just for my sister's wedding, and I was like, Mom. And as soon as I pulled into my parents' driveway, I just broke down and became a shell of a human. I was like, I don't know what to do. My marriage is over. I don't know what's next. And my mom, bless her heart, was like, baby, you need Jesus. You need to come to church with me and your dad. And I just stopped her in her tracks. I said, Mom, I tried that my whole life. It didn't work. It's cool that works for you and dad, but that's your guys' thing. Like I'm in my early 30s at this point, asking if I can sleep in the bedroom I slept in as a kid. Thankfully, my mom was that weird lady that kept everything from when I was like in high school. Like all my posters from high school were still on the walls. So like I could just sleep there. But when you're in your 30s, being at like a height of your career to suddenly like having your mom make you breakfast in the morning, it's weird. It was just a weird phase in life. As time went on, I just took a job. I quit music altogether. I started working in this hardware like lumber yard. I was like loading drywall and like 2x4s into people's homes. They were building their houses and stuff, and I thought maybe I could get a new start in life and just figure stuff out. And during this time, this girl I'd kind of kept up with in New York, she was from Ireland, and she was a bartender, so without going into much detail, I got to know her pretty well. And she just kind of hit me up out of the blue one day, being like, hey, like, you coming back to visit in New York? And I was like, no. Like, that was cool, but I'm out. I think I'm gonna just sit this one out for a bit. But she started coming to visit me, and my mom was like, who's this Irish girl coming to visit? I'm like, oh, she's just a friend. Like, we're literally nothing, Mom. Like, we're just, I don't know, we played together a couple times, and it was fun, but my mom found this loophole in the world, and she invited her to go to church with her, because I wasn't gonna go with my mom. She's not gonna say no to my mom, and I'm not gonna say no to her. So we found ourselves going to church with my parents one Sunday morning. It was around Easter time. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, I was mortified, because here's the thing. I'm from a pretty small town, and we were not going to the church I grew up in. We were going to the weird church. My sister-in-law's dad was the pastor at the church, so they wanted to support them, and we went. And here's what I remember. I remember we showed up a little bit late, mostly because I tried to get out of it. I really did not want to go to this thing. And I remember showing up to this church, and everybody in the pews were like 100. Like everybody, like they all, like old men were all bald with glasses and like wearing like burgundy suits and like maroon ties. I'm like, what is this cult? I just was thinking, like, this is crazy. And I remember my mom, hi, at the very front, and my dad was just sitting there, and we're like, hey. And like, I remember my mom like giving us both hugs and kisses, like in front of everybody. I'm like, Mom, come on, you're embarrassing me. And I also remember my dad not getting up. Like, I had to climb over him, like, thanks, Dad. And I remember just sitting there with him. And the service went on, and it was a bad one, where I was like, this is bad. It was bad. Like, I am this, whatever we are, she is never gonna talk to me again. I was taking her back to New York City after that. I was gonna take her to the airport, and I'm like, this is it. Gonna be single for the rest of my life. Once people meet my mom, it's game over. But anyways, at the end of it all, I know how this goes because I grew up in church, and this was like the flag waving, people speaking in tongues kind of church. And I was familiar with that because I grew up with that. But this girl's from Ireland. She went to Mass. Like, once in a while. She wasn't a practicing Catholic, but she knew of the traditions. She'd never seen any of this stuff before. But here's the thing. During all this time, I'm like, I know how it goes. I'm like, after the message, the other guy's going to come up. He's going to do the altar call. I'm like, this is cringy. I'm like, everybody here's 1,000. They're not going to get saved. Like, this is, I can call this right now. So he came up, sure enough, every head bowed and every eye closed, out of respect. I peeked. I looked. I wanted proof that I was right. Sure enough, not a single hand went up. And the cynic that was living inside of me was this: man, this guy spent a whole week working on his finale of this service, and he got 0 bites. That sucks. But in this moment, this is where my life changed forever. And I'm going to break down, I know, because this gets me every single time I tell this story, because it's so real what Jesus did in my life. Well, I was judging everything that was going on in that church, and that the stuffy old, you know that smell? It smelled like that. You're all laughing because you're like, oh yeah, I totally know that smell. My grandma's church smells like that. But suddenly, as we were sitting there, out of respect, and our heads were bowed and our eyes were kind of closed, this pretty Irish girl dug her elbow into my side. She's like, hey, would you go to the front with me? And in an instant, I'm telling you, a millisecond, my life was forever changed. I was like, yeah, totally. And I stood up, and we walked like 4 paces because we were already at the front with my mom and dad anyways. And of course, my mom's like bawling her eyes out. My dad's sitting there on his phone probably. But like, we went up there and we recited this prayer together, and I was saying it to support her, but I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that that prayer wasn't just for her. It was for me. And I know that my life changed forever that morning. Jesus did a real work in my life. And we left that church. We had to fill out like the little pamphlet the ladies behind Hannah's made us fill out to give us like a free Bible or something, some tract. I don't know. But we raced at the bookstore, we bought devotionals, we bought Bibles, and I took her to the airport, and then for like weeks we just read on like Skype. Skype was still a thing. And we learned about who Jesus was and who Jesus is and what Jesus is doing in our lives together. And we got married a year later. And we have 3 amazing kids. And yeah, it's nuts. Like I remember when COVID hit, our kids were really little during COVID, and she's reading the Bible stories. I could hear her reading them, and she's like reading them like Jonah in the whale, like something that you all know. She's like, oh my gosh, this is real? And I'm like, what? Are you serious? Wait till you learn about Shadrach and Meshach and Abednego. I was nuts. But all that to say is, as a guy that grew up in a church playing Christian music for people, hoping that I could give them a little bit of light, and then just completely dismissing it all, to coming back full circle in a whole real way to know who Jesus actually is. If he can do that to me, he can do that to anybody, because I was tapped out. And so I'm going to leave that with you guys. I don't know your story. I don't know where you're at. But like I said, if he can do it for me, he can do it for you too.